that we have to have a clear vision, a clear plan, that this is how we're going to get 10,000 young people employed. We spoke about the agriculture sector for years. We're going to make investments inside it, but we're still making but $5 million dollars investment in agriculture. Does it say, are we serious about investing in agriculture? Are we serious about investing in technology? How serious are we about investment? How serious are you about investing in education? So we have to have our priorities in set, aligned at what's going to be key: education, healthcare. So that it's about our priorities now as a country.
So you think they're looking for these long-term solutions which can begin to sort of change your circumstances even in the short term?
Well, look, it's time for us to take a long-term approach. It doesn't make sense that we make policies that only last for 5 years. So we have to ensure that we make policies that last, that could sustain our country's growth for a long period of time. Unemployment is it's estimated at 40% estimation. How do we ensure that we keep unemployment down at 8% for 5 or 6 years? In other words, it's a task, but that's the question we have to ask ourselves. I mean, it's not going to be easy, but once we have that discussion about it, that's a start.
And I think they feel as if, well, Bahamians, I think, are very impatient themselves.
Yes.
So, therefore, if I say I'll be able to fix something in 10 years, they want it fixed in a year, which is not possible when it comes down to the government and actually politics. If I say I'm going to fix unemployment, how am I to fix unemployment if Bahamas won't be finished until 2013? If you want it done in 2012, if I said it'll be finished in 2013, how is it going to be fixed at your date when I say it's going to be fixed at this date? Also dealing with unemployment once again. When people are given jobs, of course everybody won't be able to have a job, but the jobs that are mounted and the jobs that are given, how are they able to help some people, but also while finding ways of giving other people jobs, they're not as patient with the government.
I want to switch the discussion slightly to the crime issue. We talked about the economy primarily, and crime really is affecting more young people than anything else. Those who are committing it, those who are victims of violent crime in some instances are a lot of young people. How serious is this of an issue to those 18 to 30 voters?
Well, Mr. Sawyer, the crime problem is a huge concern, and that's why the advisory council of the Bahamas ensure that starting August, that this is going to be at top of our agenda. How do we address this crime problem? And we have to begin this problem by ensuring that we have full confidence in the men and women who serve our police force. That's the beginning. And the argument that capital punishment will reduce crime, I mean, evidence has shown that capital punishment doesn't deter crime.
It depends on who you ask.
Based
or what study you read.
Based on evidence. So we have to look at it. We have to put strengthen our laws, ensure that we have a credible witness protection system, ensure that we improve on the foundations the foundations of Willamette Park Center for Girls. And so we strengthen these foundations. So
penal institutions.
Improve these foundations. So we have to look at our laws and amend where it needs to be amended, improve where it needs to be improved. I think the government have made a lot of investment in national security, buying new cars and the bracelets. And so we are being as patient as we can with the government, but understanding that crime is a huge concern.
But don't we all have responsibilities as citizens as well? I mean, you can't take the crime problem and put it squarely at the feet of government. And young people have a very big responsibility in dealing with the crime issue as well.
Well, not even young people, but parents.
Yeah.
Parents. So it goes to say that the church, some pastors have been bickering about the crime problem when they're sitting in their office. So we have to address this problem as a country. So it goes beyond government.
Like I say, we can't take one problem and actually place it on one person. So therefore, although the Minister of National Security is responsible, he cannot actually take the full blame, because crime happens on our streets, and crime happens between normal people or civil people like you and I. So therefore, he is in the Parliament House trying to deter crime and holding his position, but therefore it's a dispute between you and I that goes on. How are we to account him, or how are we to hold him responsible for an unrest that goes on between you and I? So therefore, I believe that the crime problem starts with you and I instead of starting with him.
How many people take that responsibility seriously? How many people say, you know what, it begins with you? Or
I
it begins
think
with me?
the job of national security is actually to take the blame because it looks as if we just place the blame on the minister that is doing the work.
It's easy.
And it's easier to take the blame and put it on him instead of actually taking the blame and putting it on ourselves. Because there's no way that a country that has 300,000 people should have 80 plus murders that go on in the country at 1 year. And I think there should be togetherness in the country instead of all of the violence that goes on. We ought to be our brother's keeper, like I said.
Good luck with that. Gentlemen, we are at the point of another break in our show. We invite our audience to stay with us. We are back on the Sawyer Report right after this.
There's only one Frank Hanna. You can fix yourself up, dress yourself up, rig yourself up. Only one Frank Hanna been keeping the poor Bahamas clean for more than 50 years. So you gotta give the man a call. Call Frank Hanna now. That's me. Call me now. Frank Hanna, give him a call at 323-4531. Frank Hanna been cleaning hotels, motels, restaurants, schools, homes. Frank Hanna been doing it all, so get him on a call. Call Frank Hanna today. Man, I always look for the you, Frank. And you look good too, you know.
Want to join in on the discussion? Well, visit the Sawyer Report on Facebook and Twitter. Give us your views on the issues. Get in on our discussion or tell us what's happening in your community. You can send us emails at sawyerreport@live.com.
To both political parties, both the FNM and the PL. That we ought to consciously not associate ourselves with persons who we know to be criminals. We ought to consciously disassociate ourselves from persons we know to be criminals. I know elections, everybody wants to win. But we ought to consciously and deliberately disassociate ourselves from persons we know who are criminals. And I speak in my capacity as Prime Minister with the knowledge I have from intelligence gathered in the Bahamas.
Prime Minister Ingram in the House of Assembly back on May 31st, speaking to all members and all parties, advising them to disassociate themselves with individuals who are known criminals. What does that say when you listen to that? And there's a reason why I chose that. What does that say really about our electoral process and what happens during elections?
Well, before I begin to answer the question, I think that was an irresponsible statement by the Prime Minister. But the thing is, when you say to disassociate yourself with criminals, you have to understand that I may commit a crime, but on the other hand, I deserve a second chance. As an MP, how do you tell me, the people who would elect me, that hey, I cannot walk with you because you're a criminal, but on May 2nd, vote for me? How did you tell me that? So I say to say this: we live in a country where, if I'm an MP, that the people I represent are different. In some areas that you would expect some criminals to be there, in some areas not. That criminals are not. So what do you say to your MP? When you had the Prime Minister say that if I'm a criminal, I went to jail, but I went to rehabilitation, worked it all out. I deserve a second chance. What do it say to me when the Prime Minister tell my MP to disassociate himself from me? So when a lot of things happen in the election process where we have it's been alleged that candidates offer alcohol or drugs. It's never been proven, but it's been alleged that it happens.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, to make
But do you think he honestly meant those who have been rehabilitated or those who are involved in criminal activity? Because there's one thing to have committed a crime, and there's another thing to be involved with criminal activity. And I think, I'm not here to defend the Prime Minister, but I got the impression that maybe that is what he was after. And the reason I chose that is because during elections, there are a lot of things that are untoward that happen. A lot of young people are used for a lot of mischief, and a lot of people who are involved in some unscrupulous activities who are involved in politics as well. And it's been my experience that that is a great turnoff for those who are voting the first time or are looking to really become a part of the process, because they see the madness and the criminality that happens in many instances behind the scenes.
I think for years we've been calling for electoral reform of the political process, especially from campaign finances, how many we spend in elections, and we have heard for years of political candidates giving monies, buying fridge, giving jobs. Especially, these are things that was alleged in the Elizabeth by-election. But like I say, if it has been, it has been said, but it has yet to be proven. Just by word of mouth. So until we could have a system where these things are proven and people could be charged for these activities, then it will continue to happen.
I want to change our focus a bit now to immigration and to the issue of immigration. This is a very pressing issue. It is always a pressing issue, I think, for Bahamians, but more so at election time. And as of late, there's been a lot of talk about immigration. Just recently, I read an article in the National Review in The Guardian where they talked about some looming crises for the sitting government, and one of them was this issue of immigration. There are a lot of mixed emotions and high emotions on this immigration issue. I want to get a sense of where our young people are on this immigration issue.
Well, look, Mr. Sawyer, what we are seeing is there is a tension between Bahamians and immigrants that is growing.
All immigrants, or are you talking about Haitian Bahamians or Haitians?
I don't want to put it in specific categories, actually.
Okay. Well, let's go with immigrants. Let's just say immigrants for argument's sake.
But so young people, we are at the point of saying that will we live in a country where we have to compete with immigrants for jobs? And as of now, that is reality. We have to compete with immigrants for jobs. So when we look at unemployment being estimated 14%, and immigration has a job that a Bahamian could have, as a young person, where is the thing of putting Bahamian first? Then we have Bahamian entrepreneurs hiring illegal immigrants so that they could pay a low wage. So this brings that we need to have immigration policies to say that any business person who hire a legal immigrant and pays them at a low wage should be brought before the courts. That we have to strengthen our immigration laws, make investment in immigration securities, whether it's border securities. So the whole argument of the immigration crisis is on two ends. We know for sure that immigrants has built countries, and they're in search for opportunity.
I would say our immigration problem is not sort of unique to the Bahamas. I mean, you go in America, and it's the same argument, about immigrants taking jobs from Americans. So that's not unique to us, but go ahead.
So we look at it. We would tolerate this. If you want to contribute to the Bahamas, it's a correct way in doing so. And so we have to make sure that we have a pathway to citizenship, to becoming a citizen of this country. We cannot tolerate persons who insist in coming in the Bahamas, not doing it the proper way, becoming a burden on the people of the country and at the expense of the taxpayers, and as well as the government. So we have to ensure that there is a proper way of